The following podcast is an enticing media production. Thank you for listening to this podcast. You are now socially obligated to pour yourself a drink, and welcome to the Drunk Squirrel.
You know, every week we do this thing with like the hitting record. We don't do this every week, but every time we do this,
it's not every week, but yes, it's the whole hitting record.
It's always weird and awkward, and we catch weird moments like talking about cans and Kenny.
But I think that's the beauty of it, though. When you just hit record, the beauty of it is if I hit record and you don't know it,
yeah, you've got me.
Then
in
you
a
never
few
know what's
awkward
coming out of your
spots.
mouth, and then I decide somewhere along the line if it's going to get edited out or not.
So we have to address something up front.
What are we addressing?
Well, yeah. No, Kenny, put your pants back on.
They are on.
All I see is chicken legs under that desk.
Because that's all I have. That's all I have to offer.
But we do have a guest. We're recording in the evening. We have a guest with us here in your house. And I said I would introduce him with the story of how I first met him.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we've talked about this in the past. I'm in youth ministry. I've been doing this for a long time. And this is, I have never had an encounter like this outside of one time. First encounter like this, I should specify.
This is an encounter of the third kind.
It really was in a lot of ways. But we did a thing several years ago where took the kids down to the local Christian radio station. They got to be on the radio, see how the production was, all that fun stuff. And rented a van. We piled the kids in, and then one of the mothers comes up to me, and she goes, "Hey, I need to warn you because I don't know, but my daughter's grandfather is going to come pick her up at the station tonight. And you may have some thoughts when you first see him.
I see where this is going.
It's okay. We know. And yeah, just embrace it." That was like Mom's advice. So we're driving down to the radio station. I'm like, what in the world? I don't even know what to put this in for a category of expectation. So we go through the night, and finally it comes to the end of the night, and a gentleman walks in, and he's wearing a long duster with a bearskin cap. And I look at him, I go, "Holy crap, it's Santa!" It looked like Russian Santa on vacation.
Yes.
And Ken?
I had that same feeling when he walked in my house tonight.
Holy crap, it's
Holy
Santa.
crap, it's Santa. And there he is. And the best Santa ho 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 I have ever heard in my life, period.
So we have on with us this evening William
Neely.
Sorry, I didn't know how much you wanted to say on the podcast, but William Neely,
Yes.
who is a local Santa Claus here. You are the grandfather of one of my young adults now.
Yes.
She's grown up. And, I mean, you're Santa.
Yes, I am. I'm Santa in look, speech. Everything about me is Santa.
Even your sneakers are Santa.
Yes. Woo!
They are fantastic.
Yeah.
I saw the whole getup when you walked into the room, and the sneakers are the first thing that jumped out. The very first thing.
Yeah, they do have a tendency to jump out. You know?
I like them.
Well, and I have to say, you know, thanks to my son's awkward social graces sometimes, he didn't announce that he brought Santa in with him when he went out to get stuff in the car. So I turn around and, you know, there he is in the doorway, and then Nell turns around. Santa?
Yes.
Well, he came down the chimney.
Yeah.
So
Which-
you wouldn't have known.
Very true. But again, it's that moment where anytime I have seen anyone, and you've done an event 2 years now with us at the church.
Yes. And I
Anytime.
enjoyed it.
I do too. Like I prefaced it going into the event this year with my kids. You know, we're going to have St. Nick at the church. We're going to have story time. It's going to be great. And one of the girls came up to me, and she was like, "I think he's the real Santa, but I'm going to test him. I'm going to see if he knows my name at the event, and I talked with you beforehand, telling you who she was and who to look for, because it's Santa.
I thought you were going to say she was going to pull his beard.
I have not encouraged that. As someone who has a beard,
Because I can tell you that
not.
thing looks real, and he'd probably be upset if somebody yanked on it.
Yeah, I had a 10-year-old boy do a beard pull.
I can believe that.
Oh,
That story still remains with me. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember exactly where it was at. It was at Dutch Wonderland, Christmas time. And this little boy, we had a line of people waiting to visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And when his turn came, I no more than put him down on my lap, and I got a right hand from him, grabbed my beard, and pulled it. And I'm like, you can let go anytime. Well, as soon as I said that, Mom's yelling at him, leave go of the beard. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I'll get this. I got it. And I'm like looking out of at him out of the corner of my eye. I said, is it real enough? And he's like, yeah, it is real. And I said, could you leave go of it right now? And he says, yes. So he left go of it. And then as soon as he left go, Mom started yelling at him again. And I told Mom, I said, do you wish a picture with your son and Santa? And she says, absolutely, yes. That's what we came here for. I said, let's get the picture. So we got a lovely picture, and Mom started scolding him again. And I told her, I said, go look at the picture and order the package you want. I'm going to talk with your son. Well, we chatted about Christmas, and he thought immediately that I forgot about the beard pull, which I didn't. Oh, my goodness. And when I looked at him and I said, now, do you remember you pulled my beard? Well, sometimes that can be considered naughty. But I knew that you had good intentions, but you were testing Santa. You shouldn't really test Santa. It's not a good thing. But anyway, so why did you pull my beard? He says, I don't know. It looked fake.
It doesn't look fake, though. That's the thing.
And I looked at him again. I said, is it fake? He says, no, either that or you're using really good glue. I said, thank you.
It doesn't remotely look fake.
yeah, I mean, that's a magnificent beard.
yeah.
And the mustache, I love.
Oh yeah, it all works.
Yes, it does.
It all works.
Yes, it
And
does.
I mean, every time I have had any experience with you, in season and out of season, you're Santa. I mean,
Yes.
the second encounter I had with you was actually your granddaughter's confirmation, and you showed up in red shorts and Santa flip-flops and a Santa Hawaiian, and I'm just, that's okay. It's Santa in July. I got nothing.
I know this is an audio podcast, but every time he ho ho ho
I know.
or laughs, I have to have the most giant smile on my face.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Well, I'm a jolly Santa.
You're a jolly old elf.
Yes.
In spite of yourself.
Yes.
I know my stuff.
Yeah, you die. But Ken,
Yeah.
here we are, episode 11,
Yeah.
after the indecent proposal.
Yeah.
Did you picture Santa?
No. I didn't know we were going to be chatting with Santa 11 episodes in.
No. How did we get here?
You.
I know, but even then,
You
how
did
did we
this.
get here?
I don't know. It wasn't even on my, I had no idea the man existed.
Sorry, there are moments in life where I'm like, how did I know I walked into this, but how did I get here? And this is definitely one of those moments. Yeah.
I'm glad we got here, though.
Yeah.
Well, I think somebody suggested something to my granddaughter's mom who encouraged you.
Yeah, that was for an old podcast long ago. I had wanted to have you on, and the timing never worked out. And then Kenny and I have started this one. We launched this back in January officially.
Yeah,
and
beginning of the year, I guess.
yeah,
Yes.
Christmas in July is coming, and it was okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
This episode will come out before Christmas in July.
But still, I mean, a month out, we could
Yeah.
all use a little bit of Christmas spirit.
But we
Always.
should have Christmas spirit year round.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Christmas should never end the day after the 25th.
No.
It should never end. Well, it all depends. Let's see.
Well, you
January
got the-
6th is the 12th day of Christmas, depending on what country you're in.
Well, that is true.
right.
Yes.
And you've also got that as Three Kings Day.
Uh-huh.
So,
Absolutely.
and within the idea of the church is, we want to be Christmas people. We want to be that
Yes.
spirit year round. And that's another beautiful thing with having worked with you a handful of times. You have a beautiful faith that goes with this. And I love that because I'm bringing you in. I'm exposing the kids that I have to a faith that's connected into this culture that is just, yeah. And you show up as Saint Nick to our church event, and yeah, you are Santa on vacation right now.
Well,
I
kind
just
of,
can't
you
get over
know.
Nobody's gonna look at you and not go, "Did Santa just walk by?" But they're gonna
Well,
see Santa on vacation when they see it.
Well, people tell me that I'm too early, but I gotta keep an eye on everyone, to make sure that you're not being naughty. So, Santa can show up in the darndest places. Let's see, like Home Depot, Lowe's, different gardening flower places.
All right, I gotta ask.
Yes.
When you go out to places, just as you, again, I've seen that you go out dressed as Santa, but do kids approach you off season and be like, "Santa?
Yes, they do.
What is that even like?" I mean,
Oh, it's a wonderful thing. When a child can find me, I know that they have Christmas spirit in their hearts. I know it. Because, I could be at a restaurant. I can be anywhere. There could be a ton of people in front of me, and I still get found. I could be with other people who may look like Santa but are not Santa, but they know who the real Santa is.
I can tell you right now who the real Santa is. He's sitting in front of me.
yeah, I know.
Oh, yes.
I'm giddy every time. Every time.
So all right, I do this weird thing with Christmas movies.
I love Christmas movies.
I
Oh,
do
yes.
too. We'll have to list some of our favorites, but like Chronicles of Narnia, even the book, the first one, The
yes.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Absolutely. I love it.
and that's one of my favorite depictions of Santa in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yes.
Every time I either watch that movie or read that section, I start crying because this is the embodiment of Santa and Christmas. And in my defense, we've got Nell sitting over in the corner who is between slack-jawed excitement, and she's supposed to be working, but it's
She
kind of
wants
hard
to go
not
work,
to be
but she
here.
she can't seem to walk out of the room.
I think she's having a tough time of walking out on me.
I think. Well, it's certainly not a tough time of walking out of me. She does it all the time.
Ken, gotta correct you. She kicks you out the
my
door in the morning and
goodness.
takes
Yes,
the
that's
house
true.
over.
Yeah, it's a good thing I do go to work in the morning because she may not get anything done. She'd be throwing me out constantly. I'd probably just be bugging you. You're not wrong. Yeah, so.
So you have encounters though all year. Actually, let's go back to the movie thing before I keep going on that path.
Okay.
Yeah. What are favorite Christmas movies? I mean,
And-
you are
And
Santa.
Santa or St. Nicholas, he gave them gifts. Special
Oh yeah,
gifts.
Chronicles of Narnia. Yes.
Yes.
And that's what I love in that, where it's not just special gifts. It's this image of not just the embodiment of the jolliness, but the fierceness that I
Yes.
see in Christmas. With, this is a season to be celebrated.
Yes.
Full stop. But
Absolutely.
But is there a favorite Christmas movie or even depiction of Santa for you?
Goodness. Oh, The Miracle of 34th Street. I love
The
that
classic
movie.
or the remake?
Yeah.
Oh, either of them.
Yeah, either one. I like the original, but even the remake is nice.
It's-
yeah.
I think. I mean, I haven't come across many Christmas movies that I don't like, but I have to ask: do you? I know you've had to have seen The Polar Express, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that
Do you like that?
movie.
Okay, good.
I love that movie too.
Me and Santa and I, we share a love for The Polar Express.
Well, now let's see if I have my memory correct. Before you were Santa, what did you do?
Oh my gosh. I was a hoist driver at R.R. Donnelly's printing on Harrisburg Pike, no less.
Wow.
In the roll storage part.
Okay, I thought you had worked for the railroad for a while.
Well, no.
Okay.
We unloaded train cars from the railroad.
That's what it was. So Mrs. Claus was telling me some of the stories with that,
Yes.
and I got that
She
mixed up.
can tell you many stories about that time.
And Nell is over in the corner again. Just
It's never gonna get old. It's never gonna get old.
yeah, I mean,
I think
this
even
is,
Lucky is.
I'm not
enamored
meaning
by
to
Santa
chase you
Claus.
out, Nell. Sorry, it's just
Yeah.
it's the infectiousness of the spirit.
That was over 40 years ago. Wow. For me.
Goodness.
How did you get to the point where you were Santa? I mean, what was that journey of
My goodness.
one day you're not and the next day you are? Where
Yeah,
was that?
That was a fascinating story in my path, which apparently God must have, worked into Mrs. Claus. Now, she wasn't my Mrs. Claus quite yet, but she was the one who guided me. But the beginning, I was sitting in my chair in the living room, and my wife, my now Mrs. Claus,
Mrs.
came
Claus walked
through, and she told me, she says, the residents where I work need a visit from Santa. And I gave her a resounding yes. That is a great idea, Mrs. Claus. Well, I didn't say Mrs. Claus back then. But anyway, I looked at her, I said, you gotta be kidding. Look at me. I had a black beard, short brown hair. I didn't feel like Santa, at all. But she said, I looked at her and I said, no way. And she says, sorry, I volunteered you. And I'm like, ah! and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And she says, don't worry, I will walk you through this whole thing. And I said, what on earth does a Santa do? I had no clue back then. But anyway, it was an incredible adventure. And I put an old original suit from many years ago, and the suit actually had a Santa mask in it.
I've never seen a suit with a mask.
I've seen some old pictures.
That sounds like
Yes.
it might be somewhat terrifying.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Very long time ago, I actually have a book where it showed masks that were supposed to look like me. I think they more were like for Halloween, I think.
That's what's in my head when I think of that.
You know what's great? I'm going to pick a little rabbit trail on this. What's great is just the embodiment that he has where they were meant to look like me.
Me, yeah, right.
Yeah,
He's
I mean-
this mask doesn't look like me, Santa.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's what I love about him, where it's just he shows up and you're like, yeah, Yeah, okay, I gotta go
That-
be good because
that's
that's
Santa.
Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I looked at her. I had my suit on. I had my work boots on, and I'm like, what does a Santa do? She says, you go into the room and give him a nice ho, 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 not too loud. So I did that, and everybody looked at me like, Santa. And I'm like, yes? I said, I'm here to give you a visit. And I handed out candy canes to the patients who were allowed to have candy canes, making sure not to make any medical mistakes.
Don't want a medical emergency from Santa's visit.
Yeah, that would be very naughty on Santa's part.
I think Santa would be on the naughty list.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, with the doctor coming in, getting the patient normal again, and going, what were you thinking, Santa? But anyway, the path of Santa, how it came about for me was my wife, I guess it was 2 years after just visiting the home, and my mother-in-law's senior citizens group, and what a pass. She said, I got you a house visit. And I'm like, what does Santa do on a house visit? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to mess this up. I know it. And she says, no, I bought you this little book. And it was the little book, and I still got it today. The J is for Jesus. It's a wee little book about 2.5 inches square, and it's phenomenal. I love that story. The Candy Cane Legend. Yeah, it's the short version. And so I went to the house, and I knocked on the door, and the two boys answered the door, and they said, oh my gosh, Santa's here. And I said, ho, 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 ho.
That was my
Yes,
reaction
boys.
today.
Yeah, Santa is here. I'm here to make sure that everything is good on your Christmas spirit. And they brought me inside. They showed me where to sit, and they offered me cookies and milk. All those cookies. Ugh. Oh, they were so good.
It's got to be the best part of the job. People give you
Yeah,
cookies
you
all the
get-
time.
Yeah, you get
Right?
cookies.
Oh, I gotta ask, what is like the favorite cookie?
Oh, yeah. What is Santa's favorite cookie?
Well, my favorite cookie for for me is a snickerdoodle.
Oh, snickerdoodles are good.
Oh, yes. Now, there's many Santas who love chocolate chip.
Yeah, I have to.
But-
yeah.
I love a good snickerdoodle.
Snickerdoodle is good. Chocolate chip is my personal favorite, but
Oh, yes.
I do like snickerdoodle.
Well, chocolate chips are good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to ask. So you said that when your wife first walked in and
Yeah.
said that she wanted you to go visit the patients or the residents at
Yes.
her work, and you said you had a black beard
Yes.
and brown hair. So because now looking at you, I know this is a
yes.
podcast. You have to check out our social media.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Looking at you, you look exactly like what Santa should look like. So the white beard, the mustache. When did that occur? Did you change anything immediately?
My
or-
beard was starting to get white,
Okay.
and it was about 10 years later. Yeah, I don't know why, but God must have said, it's time to change your look. So, and then, my hair, I left my hair grow longer, and only my beautician knows about my hair or my head. Now the beard, all natural. But one day I was out garage sailing with Mrs. Claus, and something came over me. It must have been, I think, one of my angels who follow me around, must have nudged me towards the Christmas table at this garage sale.
Oh, those are always
And
the
I
best
started
angels.
buying stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could use this. And, oh, this would look neat. And, oh my God, oh, I got to have that book. And, oh my gosh, my library today is in the hundreds.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, the stories, the history of Christmas, oh, and the love and the spirit. Yes.
That's a great story.
I mean, what do you say after that?
I don't know how you follow up on that, to be honest with you. That's kind of why I looked at you. I'm not sure how to follow up.
I do have I think a good follow-up question. So across the world, there are stories and versions of Santa. And growing up in Pittsburgh in PPG Tower, down in the One Plaza, they have a whole bunch of Santas that they put out every year. And that was a favorite spot for me.
Oh, I bet you children love that.
Well, I'm even talking as a teenager, as an adult. I mean, I remember going, my wife and I weren't married yet. We were still dating. We weren't even engaged. I remember taking her there and just being like, all right, I love this place because there's all of these Santas. There are all these stories.
Yes.
And we walked around just reading the different stories. Is there a favorite version of Santa Claus that you have? Like Pierre Noel or Saint Nick or... I can't remember them all, but
Yeah, I know what
Santa
you're
Claus,
thinking.
yeah.
I like the European Santa.
Mm-hmm.
He's so majestic. I've seen Santas from Russia, and and some of their suits are so elaborate, but it's a little much for me. I'm more of the European long robe and the plain buckle and the nice hat. That's me.
Now, I have to say, I'm partial where, again, you've come out as Saint Nick to the church. And when you do that, you normally have on like a darker styled robe.
Yes.
With a little more ornamentation with like the mistletoe or holly. And I'm partial to that because I find the depth of that nicer. But
St. Nicholas was a fascinating person in his history. Fascinating as it comes. He started so many things. He made so many corrections in the Christian faith as we know it today. But he started something that is still lasting today. Gift giving.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so great to give gifts. And I keep telling children, it is better to give than to receive.
I 100% agree with that. That's always been one of my favorite things about Christmas is the people that you want to give things to is to watch them open the gifts because that's the return that the gift that I'm looking for, them enjoying it. So personally for me.
All right, I'm going to go off on St. Nicholas for a moment since...
That's okay.
Yes, he was a great defender of the faith.
Yes.
Even to the point where I think it was Nicaea 2, where he got up and punched Arius in the face for heresy. You're on the naughty list.
I've never punched anybody. Thank goodness.
I believe that. You don't seem like the type.
No. I would get a little upset, but I would not punch.
Santa's nonviolent.
Yeah, hey.
I like to believe that Santa is nonviolent.
I mean, that is the version of Santa we all want, right?
That's the one I want.
You don't want someone coming down the chimney. Merry Christmas, you're on the naughty list. Woof.
Yeah.
That's the one I want.
That would put me on, I don't know where I would end up on the wanted list.
Yeah, that would be a whole
knows?
different list.
That's definitely a fact.
But, it's fascinating how the spirit of St. Nicholas just worked its way through all the European countries. And eventually, when everybody was migrating to the United States as we know it now, America, all those different people from all those different countries brought Santa with them. Now, they were not called Santas. They were called Father Christmas, St. Nicholas, Pierre Noel. Oh, my goodness. And the list goes on and on. But it was all the same thing. Now, they might have celebrated it just a little different. Now, Holland, you put out your shoes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And some other countries still practice this today. But it's fantastic how this still, but wow, when they came to this country, they were calling Santa by all their different names for their countries, and the poor English, they got trapped in the middle of all these other countries. So they made it. They went from St. Nicholas to Santa Claus. And today, it's called Santa Claus. So it's fascinating. And there's really a whole lot more, but that would take us a lot of time to tell the story. But always remember, whatever you call him, from your own country and your own land, it all comes down the same. Be a gift giver.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this, first off.
Yeah, Kenny, we're going to skip Kenny's nugget of wisdom and just leave it with be a gift giver.
That's going to be all the wisdom.
Yeah, I mean,
That's going to be all the wisdom. I have one question for you
Go for it.
that I can ask, because one of the questions that I had was, because I had never met you before, Rob, you had. So I didn't know if you were Santa was just something you portrayed, but clearly Santa is something you are. So I was going to ask if you were a Christmas fanatic, because I'm a Christmas fanatic. I love Christmas. Clearly you love Christmas, so I don't need to ask that question. You've answered that over the past 32 minutes, so I don't need to ask that. But the one question I do have for you is, what do you like most about portraying and being Santa Claus?
Oh, my goodness.
That may be a hard one to answer, because I'm sure there's a lot of things. But
it's not a tough question. It's just something that's never been asked of me. Oh my goodness! Of all the questions,
good job, Kenny.
That is a good question.
Yeah,
but it is. I am embodied the spirit and what Santa and Saint Nicholas. And the thing is, there's three people here that I represent completely, and is God, Jesus, St. Nicholas, and I'm the third part of Christmas. I am the one who continues as the messenger to the children, to adults who do not know or understand why we celebrate Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get to help an adult through a stumbling part of Christmas spirit. Yes, and it's fascinating. I embody the spirit, and I live it every day of my life. If I hear the words Santa, my ears and my eyes open up, they perk up, and I'm looking around for the person who said that. And I get it quite a bit sometimes every day.
that's great. I mean, my point is, well, to your point about we all could use a little remembrance of what Christmas is.
Yes.
We've gotten away from that a lot.
Yeah.
As a society, as a world, not just us here in the United States, but all over we've gotten away from this.
Yes.
That meaning and being a giver and celebrating something that's not, purchased at the Best Buy or the Home Depot or something like that. And that's part of things. That's part of giving. but
Yes.
that's not really what it's about.
That's correct.
So,
It's not what it's all about.
no.
Children and adults pass everything down to their children, and it's always has to be the best gift.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not what it's about.
No.
It's about what you give from the heart. And that's where my spirit lies.
That's great.
It's what's in my heart is what I pass down to everybody. And I keep telling them, give what's in your heart, not what's in your mind, because it's what's in your mind is what's going to mess you all up in your Christmas spirit.
I can
And I
agree.
And children, I tell them, I said, if there's got to be a family or a senior citizens couple that lives near you who could use some Christmas spirit. And by doing something that they cannot do, that is a gift. You passed what your gift on that you know how to do and give it to somebody else.
That's wonderful. This is way more than I expected.
Yeah. You texted me today, and you were like, "I don't know what to anticipate with tonight." I mean,
Oh, well, I had some questions.
yeah, but I
You
mean,
know.
this is out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
So-
It completely is. Can I want to share something
Yeah.
just real quickly.
Go ahead.
I don't know that this goes with the Santa Claus theme, but I'm going to share it anyway. One of my favorite, as an adult now, one of my favorite parts of Christmas, I used to, as a kid, you anticipate Christmas Day, right? That's like the big thing. I anticipate Christmas Eve as an adult. That's my thing, because we gather. A lot of times we see you on Christmas Eve now. We've gotten to the point now where we have friends and family, and it's kind of a gathering, so to speak, on Christmas Eve. But one of the coolest things about Christmas Eve is the Christmas Eve service at our church, St. Andrew's.
Yes.
At the very end of it, the lights go down, the candle, and the silent night that's acoustic. And it'll literally bring a tear to your eye every single time. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter how many times you've been part of it or how many times you've seen it. So that's I just wanted to say that.
And again, from that church perspective, I mean, that's a powerful moment. We know
Oh yeah.
what we're conveying in that moment with that song, with the candles, with the service that has built to that point. And it honestly, my favorite part is Christmas Eve as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's after all of that's done.
Yeah.
After, Melinda and I, we go back home with the kids. We do one gift Christmas Eve. It's the family pajamas. And then, usher the kids off to bed, get everything put out. And then there's that moment that is actually, for me, the embodiment of that silent night.
Yep.
The kids are asleep. The house is dark. The tree is the only thing lit. And in my house, we leave out scotch and cookies.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. So sitting there enjoying the scotch and cookies and just listening to the silence.
Yes.
I'm one that leaves the we are, but I don't think she has a real preference on it. But a lot of people, like when they go to bed, they turn the Christmas tree off. I enjoy leaving the Christmas tree lit the entire night because should I get up to go to the bathroom or anything like that, the glow that it has, there's something special about the glow of a Christmas tree at night that I want to see, because I only get to see it for a short window per year, and I enjoy having it on at night. And sometimes I'll get up, I'll go to the bathroom, and I'll walk into the living room just to see the Christmas tree, and then go back to bed. I could go right back to bed after the bathroom, but I want to see the Christmas tree glowing.
The one thing that I can remember as when I was a child and the Christmas tree was the aluminum tree and the revolving 4-color light.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I remember, and we kept it on all night.
Yes.
Because I remember coming home from a Christmas Eve service, and all the other lights were off, but the Christmas tree. And the living room was lit in the dim light.
It's a special moment.
Yes.
It really is. And I feel bad for the people that don't like feel that way. It's, it's a short, like I said, it's a short window per year to truly appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I take every chance I can get to do so.
There's a magic to that season that it's just, it just wants you to come and embrace it.
Yes.
To take the moment. So, yeah.
100%.
Even Santa and Mrs. Claus get special gifts from special people who we still, to this day, we have no idea who that gift giver was.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I love, one of the things that I love to do as a Santa, now Mrs. Claus, she feels differently about this. I love being a secret Santa when I'm asked to do so. And taking, the bags or the boxes and setting them on the porch. And then mapping it all out, which way to run and hide.
That's cool.
Ringing the doorbell or knocking loud on the door. And then standing off at a distance, watching the people look at all the stuff that was delivered by an anonymous Santa.
By Santa Claus.
Yes.
I mean, what do you do with that?
How are you lucky enough to have Santa Claus as your secret Santa?
Well, I mean, like,
how
if
do you
peek-
get that lucky?
Yeah, and if you peek out the window and you're like, what is this guy doing? And then you see him running away and just like, wait, did Santa really just, what is happening?
Yeah.
What would you do with that? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's so much fun, and wow. I enjoy it. Mrs. Claus, on the other hand, she likes being personal.
Yeah.
She likes delivering the gifts in person, and we've done that.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is the Secret Santa.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a beauty to that. I can never say it. Anonymity?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
People know what you mean.
Yeah, that one. Whatever
They know
that
what
word
you
is.
mean.
But there's a beauty to that just because I just want to love you without any recognition.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, I love that stuff. But all right, I do have a question for you.
Go for it.
Since
Rob.
we started talking a little bit about the kid side of things a bit
Yes.
more. You have kids.
Yes, I do.
How did you raise them with Santa?
I get this question. The children were my elves. We dressed them up like an elf in some way. And I've taken them along, especially to like senior citizen places or maybe a school. And if it was a community affair, we would dress one of them up, And the kids they invited it. They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They embraced it as much as I did. And they knew who Santa was. And if I would visit somewhere where they're at, they had to remember not to say, Dad. Good to see you.
That's funny. I like that.
But they,
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
They never left me down. Even my grandchildren never left me down. It
That's
was
great.
fun.
I love it.
Yeah, I think Megan enjoyed that
Yes.
moment when I first met you, just watching my face with that of, okay, his brain's melting. Hi, Grandpa.
Yeah, it's my grandchildren embraced it, and the members of the family who married with our family, they embraced it. They even call me Santa.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know I would.
It's hard not to.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. For obvious reasons.
he's Santa.
Look at him.
I mean,
He's Santa.
Yeah.
No, that is excellent, though. I mean, so the kids have been a part of the whole process as well,
Yes.
embodying that Christmas spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've tried to do with my kids as well, where it was I didn't want to tell them, oh, Santa comes down the chimney and disappeared. I wanted them to still have that magic even as an adult,
Correct.
where it's Santa is the embodiment of the spirit of the season in many
Yes.
ways, and the love of Christ in our gift giving. And, Mom and I embody that every Christmas. We are Santa
Yes.
and Mrs. Claus. And we still have fun with it with a teenager and a 10-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, even my suit that I wear is a symbol of Christmas. My red is for the blood he shed, and my white is also for his purity. So, and that I wear, and when I wear it, I live it to the absolute fullest, because I don't want Jesus to be unhappy with me. You're not living up to my spirit here.
That's the last thing you want to happen.
Yes. And Jesus is always happy every day that I wake up and I walk out the door. I may see a child that's in my neighborhood and they know who I am. And sometimes I may give them some candy canes if I have them handy. Yes, I do. Yeah.
That's a great gift, even in April.
Yeah, well, you got a whole box of them out
There's
in
a
your
whole box.
kitchen right now.
Oh.
All right, I got to ask this one as well. How many Santa Claus suits do you have?
Oh my goodness.
Because I have never seen you in like the same one.
The same one.
Yeah.
I have 8.
8.
8 suits.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a 9th one here soon. That I have a Santa room where I store all my Santa suits and some of my storybooks. I have storybooks down in the living room. I have storybooks in the Santa room. I have storybooks up on the 3rd floor in the back room of the house, where we also have gifts that we hand out, at times. And I think every Santa that I know has a Santa room, and we are an organization, a fraternity of brotherhood, as well as Mrs. Clauses. Mm-hmm. And we also have some elves who portray the Christmas spirit in their way, from the elf's standpoint of view. But it's all Christmas. I have a Mrs. Claus, and she helps me every day up to Christmas. And she makes sure that I look good. And one Mrs. Claus told everybody in the room one time that Mrs. Clauses are the mirror for Santa, because we look at her to make sure we look good. And it is true.
I believe that.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I might look in a mirror and I'm going to, that looks good.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I stand in front of Mrs. Claus and she might go,
Maybe she doesn't believe it.
nope.
Need an adjustment.
Well, and that's also some good marriage advice there.
Yeah, that's
too.
some
Yes.
really good marriage
Yeah.
advice, because I think Nell does the same thing with me, even though I don't dress like Santa.
Yeah,
She's like, maybe you want to do a little something different there.
even thinking about it for me, where it's Sunday morning going out the door, it's, I know I've looked in the mirror, but I always check, hey,
What do you think?
yeah.
Yeah, it is good advice, because what do we know?
Yeah, I've got no fashion advice.
Oh, my.
All right.
This has been fun.
Yes, it has. One last question.
Sure.
Is the Christmas tree still up?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yes, on the porch.
Ah.
Our porch tree is up year round.
Oh, I have. Okay, I have a question now.
Oh,
Since you talked about the tree, is it colored lights?
Yes.
Or white? I
Nope.
just knew it. I just knew
color
it.
lights.
I just knew it.
All right, Kenny, what is it?
What is for us?
Yeah.
Oh, we do white lights because Nell likes the aesthetics of it, and it goes with everything basically.
Yes.
But I grew up on colored lights, and you know what my
Yeah.
favorite Christmas light is the big C9 colored bulbs. Those things are cool. You know, the
Yes.
ones that would set your house on fire. They got so hot back in the day. Those are my favorite lights. I love those things.
The old incandescents.
Yes.
Yes.
And we
And
have.
they go hot.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And we have this thing. I don't know what they call it. I've seen it many places that you plug in, and the Santa's holding like a red. And there's liquid in it, and it like heats it
Oh,
up, and
yes.
then it bubbles. I don't
The
know what you
bubble
call
lights.
that. Yes, we have one of those that we plug in every year, and I really it's one of my favorite Christmas decorations.
Ah.
Love it.
Yes, that is considered definitely the originals.
Yeah.
Or antiques.
Yeah, I'm sure we don't have an antique one, but I do really love it, and it's one of my favorite things to get out and plug in and just,
Watch
let
it bubble.
Watch it bubble. I do. I love it.
Yes.
So,
It is fascinating how the lighting of Christmas trees started. It was Martin Luther who was walking out right outside his house, and he seen a beautiful pine tree with icicles on. So he's like, oh my gosh, that would look beautiful inside the house. But it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
So he came up with an idea of decorating the Christmas tree. And that's how it started. It started off with candles, and they actually made the small candle holders with tin. And they would you could clip it onto the branch of a tree.
I did not know any of this.
Yeah. And then you light the candles. They would last like an hour.
That's fascinating.
And that would be about it. And then you have to change the candles out. But it caused many house fires.
I could
we
see
don't
that.
do that.
I could maybe,
Hey,
I'm not sure the C9 bulbs are safer, but
but a
newer
product
ones
of the
we have.
Reformation. There you go.
That's
All
right. That's right.
All right. I guess one last thing where, if you're in the Lancaster, Lebanon area and you wanted to book Santa, how could they book you?
Yes. How do they get? Well, you got to get a hold of Mrs. Claus. She is the official scheduler. I used to do it, and I messed it up 2 seasons in a row. And Mrs. Claus took the schedule book out of my hand and said, I'm doing this now. Give everybody my number. Well, Mrs. Claus's contact number is 717-333-3971.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would reckon if you're out there and you have an event of any kind at Christmas time, I'm telling you, reach out. Because this is the best Santa you have ever seen or heard, hands down. 100%.
We've had him 2 times at the church for an event, and I mean, every year.
Just the ho-ho-ho is worth it.
Oh, my gosh.
I think I got to do a little bit more than ho, ho, ho.
But that would be enough for me.
Well, I mean, you did that walking in the house. Well, not walking in, but in the house, and just, again, watching everybody light up.
Yeah. It's
how
something about it.
How you embody that is something entirely different. And that's the best way to phrase who you are as Santa is it's entirely different than what you expect. Yeah. And you're Santa.
I'm Santa all the time. I do not switch. I am Santa.
Yeah, every encounter I've had with you off season, I mean, there is no mistaking you are Santa.
Yes, I am.
So,
Love it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call that a wrap.
All right,
We're
yeah,
gonna be-
let's we're gonna wrap it up. But Santa, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
This has been an amazing experience. I have to admit, amazing.
Yeah, I guess this will be a good encore.
Yeah.
Ho, 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 ho! And a Merry Christmas to one and all.
That's never going to get old.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drunk Squirrel, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to The Drunk Squirrel. No need to pay a tab. Just be sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and drop us a line, thedrunksquirrel82@gmail.com. Cheers.